Good day, Cavalier Nation. This is Aiden Bassett.
And I'm Faith Beasley.
And we are here on CAVTALK Podcast, the podcast that highlights important individuals in our school and our community.
Today, we'd like to give a warm welcome to Mr. Jeff Wick, the Coordinator of Safety and Compliance for CCPS. Mr. Wick has a long history with CCPS, even including being the principal of Caroline High School. Mr. Wick, how did you first get started at CCPS in the first place? And what were you hired to do initially? And what was it like working at CCPS at that time?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. I'm very glad to be here. And how did I get started at CCPS? Well, it started way back in 1999. I was working, I was a teacher looking for a job. And I'm from Pennsylvania, from the Pittsburgh area. Could not find a job up there. And I happened to look in the newspaper and there was an advertisement for a teaching position down here in Caroline County. I was a history teacher, which included dual enrollment history. So I applied for that, got the job, and I've been here ever since for 27 years. So that was what I was originally hired to do. Social studies teacher. I was also a softball coach at the time and the Scholastic Bowl coach at the time. And it was great working here. I mean, coming down and moving to a new community and meeting new people. It was really a nice, a good experience, a challenging experience. I got hired, I think, 3 days before school started. So that was challenging to get prepared for a school year, but that's how I got started, and it was a great place to work. So I've been here for 27 years.
Okay. The ad for Caroline, was it in a Pennsylvania newspaper?
Yes, it was, coincidentally, and I was kind of lucky to see it because it wasn't under education, like the letter E for education or T for teaching. It was under C for Caroline, and I think the paper misplaced it because if it had been under E or T, I never would have seen it.
Wait, so they've got like a dedicated section for us or something?
Yes, Help Wanted, the wanted ads, the Help Wanted ads, and it's a section in the newspaper. So I just happened to look over at C and see Caroline County Public Schools. So it was kind of lucky for me to see it, that it was misplaced, and that's how I got here.
That is lucky.
Really cool.
A long way from home, too.
Yeah.
Now, you went from being a teacher to being an assistant principal. That must have been quite a change in your responsibilities. What was it like going from the classroom to being on the other side of things? Was it hard to make that switch, and did you ever miss teaching?
Those are good questions. The switch actually wasn't too bad. I was, being that I worked here and I knew the school and I knew the students and I knew the staff and a lot of parents, that made the transition a little easier, but it was different. So there was some things to learn and some work to put in, and it was like being a teacher again for the first time. That first year is always tough, learning, the processes and whatnot. So moving to that was similar. It was hard to learn and, learn new processes and procedures and set, my way I want to do things in place. But it was a pretty easy transition as a whole because I worked here for 4 years before that time.
All right.
Did I miss teaching? Oh, absolutely. Teaching was fun. It was enjoyable. We had a lot of fun in class. My classes were challenging, but we also had fun and learned and had great relationships with the students, and we got along great. So I did miss teaching then, and I still do.
Oh, you still miss teaching?
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite parts of my job is teaching. Now, often I'm teaching other adults in some type of training. Just last Friday, I did a training on threat assessments for some staff members, and I definitely enjoy teaching. It's fun to do.
Really cool.
Would you ever consider getting back into it?
I thought about it at times. Teaching's changed a lot, and I haven't done it for 23 years now, like a classroom teacher. I have thought about it, but I've never actually taken that step.
So you've had many roles in the county school system, and you're currently the Coordinator of Safety and Compliance. That seems like a rather fancy title, but many people probably don't know what that entails. So can you explain to our listeners what you do exactly?
It's definitely a fancy title. It includes a lot of things. Safety is probably the most important thing. So we work on crisis plans, the drills you guys do, the safety technology we have in place, like video cameras and all those types of things. So that's a big part of the job, working on safety. The other part of it includes a lot of things. Attendance, chronic absenteeism and attendance. I work with nurses. I work with workers' comp, records destruction. I do discipline hearings and work with, adjusting and revising the student code of conduct. There's some other things I'm missing, but it encompasses a lot of different things from safety and just helping the schools to operate, properly and according to, procedure and regulations and things like that.
Okay. So it's kind of a job that covers both teacher side and student side?
Yeah, definitely. It covers teachers and students. Yeah. I do things like the Safe and Drug-Free Committee and the Student Health Advisory Board, which that affects students and teachers. So it covers both sides.
That's good. Now, we at CAVTALK have been impressed not only with a long tenure of some of the CCPS employees, but also how so many people have graduated from CCPS and have returned. We started a series last year on alumni who are now working for CCPS, and there seems to be no shortage of guests. What do you think is an appeal of Caroline High School or Caroline Public Schools that makes you dedicate so many years of your service? Why do you think so many people come back to stay?
Well, to be honest, when I came down here in 1999, my intention was to stay a year or two and then move back to Pennsylvania. Move back to Pennsylvania with family and, people and friends. But what happens is you come into Caroline and it's such a great community to work in. It's a positive place. The staff I worked with as a first-year teacher, was great. The students were amazing. Support from the parents and the community. And it was just a good family atmosphere where everybody works together well and gets along. And that's what made me stay. After, within that first year, actually, I decided I was going to stay a little bit longer than a year or two. And it's become 27 years. So it's just a good place to work. It's a great community and a great atmosphere being at Caroline High School. And I also worked at Bowling Green Elementary for a few years. And it's just a great community to work in.
What'd you do at Bowling Green?
I was principal of Bowling Green Elementary for 4 years.
Oh, you've been principal at a lot of places.
Yeah, well, 2 places here. And then I went to Bowling Green Elementary. Then I came back to the high school.
Okay. Where was that in the timeline? Like at first you were a teacher, then you went down to be principal, and then you came back here and be assistant principal?
Sort of. I was teacher here, then assistant principal here. Then I was principal here at the high school. And then I went to Bowling Green for 4 years. And then I came back to the high school as principal. And then I went to my current position.
Okay. You got a lot of titles.
A lot of jumping around.
Like loving the atmosphere and the people. Like, has anyone stood out to you over the years?
Oh, there's so many. It's hard. It's hard to pick a single person, staff member wise and coworkers. And there was a ton. And at the homecoming football game, I probably saw a couple dozen former students, and just seeing all those faces and talking to them and seeing what they're up to these days, and seeing them grow and become, adults who are doing professional things and have families and kids and everything. It's just too many. It's too many to name. I saw kids who graduated as far back as 2005.
Wow.
At homecoming, and some who graduated in 2018. It's just a lot of positive people.
I know one of your former students work up at that front office, well.
That's true. Mr. Coleman is definitely a former student. I was assistant principal when he came through, and he was a great student, and he's still doing great things as an employee.
He got straight A's?
I'm not sure what his grades were like, but he was definitely a good student. Never in trouble, always here every day, doing what we asked him to do, and always going above and beyond as a student, just as he does as an employee. He's always trying to help people out. It's kind of always been his nature.
I've got office aide during one of my periods here. And I'm always up at the front office, helping stuff out and opening the door and calling people. He does a whole lot of work up there. They really have to give him like an official assistant.
He might need an assistant.
So much that goes up on that office.
We'll have to note that for the record and see what we can do.
You're welcome, Mr. Coleman, if you listen to this.
Well, one way or the other, you went higher and became the principal of the high school. We know you were principal for many years, and so how was that experience? What were some of the major events or changes here while you were principal? And do you have a favorite story that you can share with us from that time?
Oh, wow, that's a lot of years to think about. I think some of the major events were just becoming the leader of a school and helping it to improve. And grow and seeing everybody, mature into adults, and working with 1,200 students versus, the 100 or so I had as a teacher. So that was just a great experience working with the whole student body. I'd say one of the biggest changes was the renovation we went through.
Oh, yeah.
Which is now about 10 years ago, which is hard to believe. But that was huge. I mean, it was a lot going on. There were a lot of disruptions, so to speak. We had to shut down parts of the building and move teachers and move students. And we did that several times, sometimes a couple times in 1 year. So that was a big change, but it was positive. The students and teachers just went with the flow. It didn't disrupt our school very much. We'd have an odor once in a while, or a noise or something like that. Some minor thing, a little bit of dust, more than usual.
In there.
Yeah. But we all worked through it, and it was fine. We didn't have a problem with it. And we got, of course, all these new classrooms and whatnot, and made our school better. I'd say a favorite story I had, just being, one of my favorite things was being softball coach. And probably my favorite moment at that time was when we went up to another school that was always dominant. And we went up on their field my third year, and we upset them 11-9 on their field. And it was like we won the World Series. The girls were screaming. We were having fun. They were dumping Gatorade on the assistant coach and all that stuff. It was amazing. So just those types of events, and seeing, even other sports and extracurriculars do great things, from, watching the band win awards when they do their competitions, to watching a sports team go to the playoffs and succeed, or there's a lot. It's hard to pick a favorite. There's so much you see in 27 years, but that softball situation really stands out still today. I remember those girls like it was yesterday.
Yeah, your support at sporting events has not gone unnoticed, and you've been a constant presence at our events. Mr. Driscoll mentioned before that you were his principal and used to play catch with him before football games during the athlete when he was here.
That is true. Those were good days when he's out there warming up, and the only problem was he threw the ball a little bit hard. My hands would be stinging by the end of that warm-up session, but it was always fun being down there pregame and shaking hands with the players and wishing them good luck and then doing stuff like that, definitely.
And all that. I know since you guys won that game, you're probably riding pretty high. What did you win? Like many of the other games too. How were you during that whole softball season?
Well, that was my third year, and we won 7 games that year, which was I was told at the time that the JV team, that was a JV team, the most games they won in a season had been 3, and the previous year we won 3 and tied that, and that year we won 7, which was exciting, and we were very happy with that. And I'll tell you, we were probably a couple hits and a couple plays away from winning 10 games instead of 7, being 10-7 instead of 7-10. But we had a great year, and we were really happy. And I was proud of those girls and their accomplishments and how hard they worked, to win that many games and to beat some good teams.
Yeah. That's how I felt last year with the softball going so far last year. That was really a good accomplishment.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And to go that far and almost win the state championship, they did a great job.
For sure.
How many games did you guys win last year?
I don't play softball, but like my sister does, and I go to everything, and it's really cool.
Okay. How many games are there in like a total softball season? Like 7 out of how many?
Well, we played 17 that year.
17.
So about 17 before playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just about 50-50 split. You must have been a good coach then.
That's debatable. I think I had a lot of good talent, so it's easy to coach when you got good talent.
Okay. Makes sense. Now, up in the front entrance, there's a plaque with a newspaper story about the renovations that took place at the high school years ago during your tenure as principal. Since we students have spent our whole high school careers with these changes, it's hard to imagine what it was like before, so we'll just ask you. What was it like before all the new shiny things that were built? Was it cramped, or was the student body much smaller than it is today?
Well, it's kind of both. The student body was much smaller. I'd say during that renovation, we might have had 1,000 students or so, or a little bit more than that. Now you guys are around 1,200 or maybe even close to 1,300.
I've heard 1,300 being thrown around, yeah.
There you go. And so it was getting cramped, though. The building was smaller, and we needed more classrooms, and part of it was anticipating this 1,300 that was coming. So with the previous school, we wouldn't have been able to fit 1,300 students in all the classrooms. So we had to do the renovation to, I forget, it added something like 11 additional or 12 additional classrooms, something like that.
Nice.
Plus the new gym, which is really nice, and the new office area, and the new library. So it definitely gave us more space so we could accommodate the 1,300 that are now here.
So it was like the whole CT hallway still there and everything?
Yeah.
Most of the CT hallway was there. The only one that was added is if you go past ROTC kind of, and down where Mr. Honeycutt's room is added.
Like the econ rooms and stuff?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
That was a whole new section that was added.
Oh, okay.
I know the one thing that people complain about here the most is the stairwells. They always say it's cramped. It's hard to get through those doors.
The stairwells are narrow, and we looked at that before the renovation, but just because of the way the building is constructed, you could not widen the stairwells without compromising.
That would be really hard.
Yeah, that would be a hard thing. Yeah.
I tell everybody, but they're still mad, you know?
They're still mad, but unfortunately, we're stuck with the stairwells.
You have to push and shove, you know? So how hard is it to have change happen, like those renovations? With the recent facility study, which resulted in learning cottages at Bowling Green Elementary and other upcoming efforts, it seems as if there was a lot of effort to make upgrades. In addition, the changes may not be exactly what people want, and there's a lot of time that goes by before change happens. How hard and stressful is that whole process?
It's a pretty hard and difficult process to go through because you got to go through people like the Planning Commission in Caroline County, and they're looking at development and how many homes are being built, how many people are moving in, and the Board of Supervisors have to look at funding, and the school has to look at funding. And then if you have a bigger building, you got to hire more teachers, so you got to worry about employees. And of course, you got to pay for a renovation. So how are you going to do that? And you have to look at your tax base, and do you raise taxes? Do you have a some sort of mechanism to increase funding? So it can be challenging, and it's a lot of process. It's a detailed process with a lot of different competing groups who have different interests and abilities to do what they can do. So it's often compromised. You know, you got to look at, this is the top thing we would like. I mean, this is the best of the best. If we could have everything, this is what we want. Oftentimes you have to compromise from that and settle for what you can afford and you know, what the community can can support. So it can be challenging, but you get through it and eventually you get to where you want to be.
Compromise is a big thing.
It has to go through a lot of people, so there has to be compromise somewhere.
There's gotta be just one thing after another.
It's a lot to think about, that's for sure. And then when you get through it all, you're like, man, we should have maybe thought of this. Well, there's other stuff. You got the Department of Environmental Quality that says you have to do certain things related to the environment. So you got to think about those angles. So it's just a lot to think about.
You mentioned wanting to think about a thing after. Is there anything that you would have wanted added during the initial renovations here that you wish you did?
Well, we had a few things we had to cut out due to financing, but I think the biggest thing for me is the gym. It's a nice gym, really is. We have a nice floor in there and a nice seating, but we kind of wish that would have been a brick gym instead of the siding or whatever is up there now. Would have been a little higher quality for us. We've had trouble getting good sound in there since it's been there because of how it's constructed. And it would have been nice to expand some of our athletics facilities. Like wrestling has, they were in a trailer at one point practicing, and we've moved the weight room around a couple times trying to accommodate everybody. So we could have a little more advanced athletic facilities. And I'll say one more thing is CTE. I love CTE. I wish we could do a little bit more there as well and have some more classrooms to expand our CTE.
Yeah.
Just general classrooms for anything or like specific classes?
I mean, we try to do a survey to see what the students are interested in. So I think it would be nice to have something like HVAC or bricklaying or veterinary science or things like that, fire science. I think we have a lot of students who are interested in that at one time. So if we could expand those to the things that students want to learn, if they don't want to go to college, they can learn a good trade and get out there and start working. That would be definitely beneficial for our community.
Okay. I know you mentioned the sound in the gym. That gym is so echoey. Whenever you hear some guy, whenever you hear like Dr. Connolly over the speakers at the end of the day at a pep rally, announcing the bus changes, you just can't hear them. In the auditorium too, the speakers in the auditorium, I don't know how old they are or anything, or if they've been replaced, but it's so static.
In the old gym too, it's all that, both those areas.
I don't know if it's just echoey or the speakers are old or worn out or whatever, but I can almost never hear what they're saying.
Well, I know we've had that trouble in the new gym since it's been in, and it's just the way it was constructed. We do have a nice gym, and we do a lot of good events in there. So
for sure.
Sometimes we got to take the bad with the good, right?
Yeah.
We recently had homecoming in there. That was really nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the homecoming dance. How was that? Big turnout.
I'd say moderate turnout. Yeah, pretty big turnout. I got there early, thankfully, when the line was pretty short. I got in there when not a lot of people were in there, but the gym pretty quickly filled up.
Okay, very good. Well, Miss Sadler does a great job with that, and I know you guys enjoy it and come looking sharp and good.
Now, as somebody who worked with like Coach Blanton and Coach Spalding, how is it to see like the Blanton gym being named after Coach Blanton, the Spalding Stadium being named after Mr. Spalding? How do you feel about that?
Well, those are some amazing people right there. Going back to the earlier question when you asked me about coming to Caroline and all that stuff, and I mentioned meeting great people. Those are some great individuals. Just a couple examples who I worked with. So Coach Blanton did some amazing things in Caroline County. He may have gone to school here. George Spalding, same thing as a coach and a school board member. And we also got Coach Harvey with the track named after him. I've worked with him since I started here in 1999 as well. So it's just good to see people who've put in really their livelihood. And their goal was just to help the people. They wanted to help their kids. They wanted to be supportive. They wanted to be here for the community. It was never about themselves. They never sought honor or those types of recognition. But in the end, because of their selflessness and their true dedication to the school and the students and the community, they really deserve that. And it's great to see people you've worked with who've put all that energy in and effort to have those named after them. And I could probably name another dozen who could have, if we had facilities to name after. But yeah, it's great to see. And it really makes you feel good that you were able to know those people and work with them and see them get those types of honors.
Instead of have to name classrooms after people.
Yeah, we might have to do that. That's a good idea.
Just give me credit if you start implementing it,
I will do that. Yeah, for sure.
I don't have classrooms. There's a whole bunch of closets around. I don't know, maybe a desk or two and out of space. Now, we did touch on this a little before, but what change, building or otherwise, would you most like to see either at CHS or somewhere else in the division?
Well, I'll go back to the CTE thing. I think we have great opportunities here. We have a great CTE program as it is.
Yeah.
I started as a CTE teacher way back in 1993. I taught at a reform school and I taught video production. We were talking that you're interested in that type of field. And I think that's just a great way for students to learn different skills. whether they want to employ them in the full-time workforce or just something they can do on the side, however they want to do it. But I think those types of trades are vital.
Oh, yeah.
We need people to learn skills like that. If I did it again, I wouldn't mind learning a skill like bricklaying. I've always kind of been interested in that, but never pursued it. So if we could expand those and add a few more programs, I think that would be awesome for the community.
Yeah.
I know we recently, big quotes, but we recently introduced the academy model. How do you think that's going when it comes to CTE and stuff like that?
I think that's a great model for students to focus. If they're ready for that, if they have a sense of what they want to do in their future, then they can focus on that and really prepare and move in that direction. So I think that's a great idea. I know it's pretty new, but I think it's a great initiative.
Yeah, it looks to me that it's going well. They added a whole lot more like CTE classes in general. Is it CTE? All CTE?
What do you mean?
Like are all the classes of the academy model? I know they're electives, but are they specifically CTE or are they just general electives?
Some of them are not CTE. Like mass media is not considered a CTE class.
Okay.
It is part of an elective, but they are part of academies though.
Okay. I remember seeing, what was it? Like intro to plant systems and like turf grass management as two classes that were available in one of the academy models, which I've never seen before. I didn't think that they'd be added. A whole lot of kids. Agriculture is one of our biggest sort of programs / electives at the high school. So I wasn't really surprised to see that electives related to that were also added rather than just having the single agricultural class.
Sure. And I think that's the benefit of the academy model. You can add new things and different things, and turf management's great. I mean, there's so much thing about golf courses and athletics and various things, ways you use turf management. So that's a great one to hear. I didn't know they were offering that.
They are. In the academies, they've got like the different tracks. And I think you start off with like intro to plant systems, and at the end is turf management, or though it might be in the middle. Basically, they just want people to like finish the tracks they start, because a whole lot of kids would go into like the first level or maybe the second level of electives, but then not continue that on. And they wanted people to just continue that on and make sure they are actually like interested in what they're doing.
Very good. Am I too old to sign up for that, or my yard's a mess? I could learn some things.
Maybe you could ask up at the front office.
Yeah, we've grown a lot in like variety of classes for sure.
Yeah.
Well, of all the time that you've spent here working for CCPS, and out of all the roles you've been in, which has been your favorite and why? If you could go back in time and relive a specific year or set off years, which would you pick?
Oh, wow, that's another tough question when I think about 27 years. But I think I'd have to say, if I had to pick a favorite, I might have to pick two favorites. Mm-hmm. One would be, of course, when I first started here.
Yeah.
1999 and learning about Caroline County and the community and working with all those staff members and students and parents. That was just a great time. Starting out your career, you have a lot of enthusiasm and coming down here and enjoying where you worked and the people you work with and all that. That was great. I would love to relive 1999 to 2003. That was a good time. And I would say the second one would be my elementary school years, because I was always a secondary person, high school students. And I never really thought about doing elementary, but all of a sudden this opportunity pops up and I take it. And I really enjoyed working with the elementary kids. And that was grades 3 to 5. I don't think I'm going lower than that. I don't want kindergarten's too young, but I really enjoyed the elementary years, those 4 years over at Bowling Green Elementary. So that'd be a good time to redo. But again, I have a lot of great memories here. It's been a great time working in Caroline County for 27 years. And I mean, the softball, I could get into those experiences. And we had a lot of fun with Scholastic Bowl when I did that. And so there's so many memories. It's hard to pick two, or one, but I'd say if I had to relive two, it'd be those two times.
It must be having to learn that the learning cottages got installed down at Bowling Green.
Yes, indeed. They got new learning cottages there. So shows the expansion we're going through. And you guys have 1,300. So that's the highest it's ever been at the high school. So we're seeing that everywhere.
Yeah.
You think we could ever get a expansion to the high school in more recent times? I know they've got budgetary issues when it comes to that, but
yeah, I think eventually we'll have to get some type of new building. What it would be, elementary, high, middle, I'm not sure, but I definitely think we're trending in that direction.
Okay. Now, we know there's more to you than just your career with CCPS. What do you like to do in your free time? Do you have any hobbies or interests that you can share with us?
Yeah, I like to do different things. I'm into fitness, so I like to do fitness stuff. I've been doing that for about 35 years now. I enjoy that. I like going hiking, sports, athletics, whether watching it on TV or live. It's always good to see it live, or going out and doing something like playing tennis or golf or racquetball or something like that. So just doing active types of things. I mean, hiking is one of my favorite things. It's good to go out to the mountains, see what's going on. Going to the beach and hanging out is fun. I guess a variety of activities just to keep busy and relax a little bit.
As long as you're getting up and about.
You go out and about and doing something. There you go.
We've got a little trail right down there by the skate park. Just a ways down Devil's Three Jump. I think that's the road we're on. I went on it once, like years ago. I thought it was pretty nice. It was during the fall, I want to say, and all the trees were leafless. I just walked around and I think I almost tripped on a root.
You got to be careful back there. There are definitely some tree roots. Yeah. I've been on a trail a couple of times. That is a neat thing as well. And of course, pickleball's the new thing.
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet. Do you guys do pickleball?
I haven't done it yet, but it seems like a lot of fun. Like everyone I know does it.
I don't know. What is pickleball? What do you do in pickleball?
It's similar to tennis, but like smaller court. Okay. It's a little different, but it's similar.
I call it ping pong on the ground instead of on the table.
Ping pong,
Okay.
On your feet.
It's kind of in between ping pong and tennis.
Yeah. It's kind of a combination,
Okay.
Type of blend.
Didn't they install or build a new pickleball? Okay.
Yeah, there's courts right next to the tennis courts.
I didn't know that was a domain we had over here in Caroline.
Yeah, it's popular. People play it everywhere, all age groups too.
I know, yeah. A lot of people play
crazy.
it. Well, speaking of athletics, like, do you have a favorite sports team or just a sport in general?
Well, I'm from Pennsylvania, so I'm a Pittsburgh fan.
Yeah.
All the Pittsburgh teams, Steelers, Penguins, Pirates. I'm a Penn State fan, although we're having a bad year in football. So yeah, that's kind of where I go with sports.
Okay. Well, that's really cool. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time, but thank you for coming on the podcast today, and thank you for all the years you've dedicated to CCPS.
You have been listening to CAVTALK, a production of the Cavalier Nation News produced by Mass Media and Innovation at Caroline High School. I'm Aiden, signing off.
And I'm Faith, and we'll talk again in the next episode of CAVTALK.